Hello all, in this video we'll have a discussion on the topic investment assessment methods. So in the last session we discussed about how should we estimate project cash flows. In this session we will be having an introduction to the various methods that could be used in evaluating projects, right? So there are basically 5 questions. Question number 1 is what is payback period? How should we assess a project using payback period? Followed by a discussion on what is accounting rate of return, which is otherwise known as ARR, and how should we evaluate projects using ARR. And the third one is on what is net present value, NPV, how could we assess projects using NPV. The fourth one is on what is IRR, otherwise known as internal rate of return, how should we evaluate projects using IRR. And the last one is what is PV index and how could we evaluate projects using PV index. We will take a small hypothetical illustration, and the company name is Kushagra Vatsalya Shitij Limited KVKL, and the company's cash flows are given in terms of INR crores, and the company is contemplating in terms of ranking 3 of the projects which are there in terms of evaluation. So basically there are 5 years, so year 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, project 1, project 2, project 3. All 3 projects are having equal amount of capital outlay or initial investment of 1000 crores. It is written in bracket because they are cash outflows. And for project 1, the life is only 3 years and there are 3 cash inflows. Year 1 it is going to generate 600 crores. Year 2 it is expected to generate 400 crores. In year 3 it is expected to generate 300 crores. Please mind we are at time 0 and these are all the expectations or estimates, right? Yeah. For project 2, the entire investment is more or less getting back within 1 year. So that means life is only 1 year. And for project 3, there are 5 years. Life is 5 years and it is expected to generate equal amount of cash inflow at INR 300 crores, right? Yeah. So now let's go for answering question number 1. So that is what is payback period and how should we use payback period in evaluating projects, right? So as the name suggests, payback, so that means how many years, right, it is taking for the company to recover its initial investment from the project. That is what your payback period. Okay, when we talk about payback period, many a times we also hear about break even point. So that means the question that comes to our mind is what is the difference between payback period and the break even point, right? Guys, please mind, right? Please understand. Break even point refers to, right, the point wherein the total revenue of the activity is equal to total cost. So that means it is going to be computed for a company on an yearly basis, right? Yeah, correct. So what does it mean? Sneha, Ishan, Panindra. So what does it mean? Jasmeet, right? So this means every year we are going to compute total revenue. Every year we are also going to compute total cost for the company. So that means if the company is reporting profit, that means what? The company has crossed the break-even point. If the company has reported loss, what does it mean? That means the company has not, right, reached the break-even point. Am I right? Yeah. Whereas when we talk about payback period, we are going to compute payback period once a while for a project. That means before we are going to undertake a project, we are going to ask the question, look, we are going to invest, for example, in this case 1000 crores. When are we going to recover this 1000 crores from this project? That's where we talk about payback period, right? Yeah, please understand this, right? Yeah. So I take you to the computation now. So project 1, project 2, project 3. Project 1, the initial investment is INR 1000 crores written within bracket. That means money is going out. It is giving you cash inflows in 3 years at the rate of 600 crores in year 1, 400 crores in year 2, 300 crores in year 3, right? So simply go for cumulative cash inflows. So that means 600 crores plus 400 gives us 1000 crores exactly in year 2. So that means the payback period for project 1 is 2 years, right? Let us go for project 2, right? We have invested 1000 crores. 1000 crores had gone out of our pocket, and we are expecting that this project is going to give us the cash inflow of 2000 crores, right? And the life of the project is only 1 year, right? So that means what we need is written in numerator 1000 crores. What right, I mean, we are generating is given as denominator 2000 crores. So that means what? 1000 crores divided by 2000 crores gives us the payback period of 0.5 years for project 2. Let us now look at project 3, right? So outflow is 1000 crores. Every year it is going to generate 300 crores each, right? So that means if you go for cumulative, 300 year 1 plus 300 year 2 plus 300 year 3, so that means 900. So that means 3 years over, plus we need only 100 but we are having 300. So that means 100 by 300, 0.33 it is. So that means the payback period is how many years? 3.33 years, right? Ankit, am I right? Yeah. So that means which project is giving us the lower payback, right? Project 2. So that is the best project. So that means we are assigning rank number 1 to project 2. Followed by that, right? Project 1 is giving us 2 years. So that means it is getting rank 2. And the least desirable one from payback perspective is project 3, because it is taking more time. So that means it is giving us the recovery of money at how many years now, Neet? 3.33 years, right? So which is the best project here? Project 2, right? Yeah. So let's come to the summary of payback period, right? So the problem of payback period is it ignores time value of cash flow, because we are taking absolute amount of cash flows, right? The second thing is it does not consider cash flow after the payback period. For example, in project 3, we are getting payback in 3.33 years, but the life of the project is 5 years. So that means what happens after 3.33 years we are not looking at, right? And the last one is conventionally it is suitable for projects with a single cash outflow, right? So what is the solution? To take care of time value of money, you can go for discounting the cash flow. To take care of the limitation of only one cash outflow, condition of only one cash outflow, what you can do is you can consider another outflow or multiple outflows, that means subsequent investments, and then find out totally when you are getting the money, right? So it is better you go for discounting that, right? Discounting the cash flow, right? So if you do that, this is known as discounted payback method, okay, right? I have not done that, but you can very well do that, right? Yeah. So this is what payback method is all about. I take you to the second method, right? Namely accounting rate of return. So the question here is, what is accounting rate of return, ARR, and how should we use ARR in evaluating projects, right? So ARR is nothing but average annual cash inflow divided by initial investment, right? So accounting rate of return is nothing but average annual cash inflow divided by initial investment. There are other formulas. If you simply Google it out, you will have n number of formulas for this method. I suggest you take this because this is simplified and it gives us very clearly what are we talking about, right? Accounting rate of return, right? That means average annual cash inflow, right? That means you have to sum up all the cash flows for the duration of the project, divide that by number of years, that is going to give you what is your average annual cash inflow, divided by initial investment, which is going to give you, right, what is your ARR. Higher the ARR, better is the viability of the project, better is the performance of the project, right? So now let's look at for project 1. Yeah. So Jayant, could you calculate ARR for project 1? Yeah, 600 crores plus 400 crores plus 300 crores divided by number of years 3 gives us average annual cash inflow of 433.33 crores. Divided by, right, Sharmista, 1000 crores is going to give us, right, what is the ARR? Yeah, you have to multiply by 100, you are right. So that is how much? 43.33%, right? So what does it mean? On an average, your investment, if it is 100, you are getting a return in terms of cash flow of 43.33 rupees. That is what the meaning of that, right? Yeah. So I take you to the second project. Yeah. So now let's ask, right, Shirish, why don't you help us in doing this? Shilpa, you can also help us, right? So the cash inflow is only 2000 divided by only 1 year. So that means average cash inflow is 2000 divided by initial investment 1000 multiplied by 100 gives us a ARR of how much? 200%, right? So now let's go for project 3. Yeah, Harish, yeah, why don't you help us? Abhi, you can also join them. Abhi, Anand, yeah, right, Raj also. So every year 300 for 5 years divided by 5. So that means 1500 by 5 gives us 300 divided by initial investment 1000 multiplied by 100. So that means what is your ARR? 30%, right? So now let's look at ARR, all 3 projects ARR. Which one is giving the highest ARR? Project 2. So rank number 1 we can assign to that. Followed by that rank 2 we can assign to the next project, that is project 1. And the lowest one is project 3. So we are assigning rank of project 3, right? Yeah. So let's come to the limitations, right? So the limitation is it is also ignoring time value of money and it does not consider subsequent investment in projects. So what is the solution then? Solution is we should go for the discounted methods, right? Discounted cash flow methods. So that means the most desirable method in terms of evaluating project is NPV, net present value. So that means question here is what is NPV and how should we use NPV in evaluating projects, right? NPV or net present value is simply nothing but gross present value minus present value of investment. So that means for our projects, let us assume the discount rate, otherwise known as hurdle rate, otherwise known as risk rate, at 10%, right? So what does it mean? Based on the nature of the risk of the project, we are going to assign a discount rate, right? Sometimes the discount rate for the firm and the discount rate for the project may be one and the same. In some cases it may not be so. For example, if you are going to set up a totally new project, that means your risk rate is totally changing, right? So that means you are not used to that business, you don't know what will happen in the business. So that means the risk rate is more if you are going to get into unfamiliar territory. So that means the discount rate for unknown businesses are more, right? Otherwise, if you are going to continue the same business again and again, we can say that the existing discount rate is going to be the discount rate for the new projects also, right? For example, a retail showroom opening one more retail showroom, the risk rate may not change. BHEL opening one more plant, the risk rate may not change. But Reliance getting into telecommunication business or some other company or some other business in which it does not have any experience, what is going to happen is the discount rate or hurdle rate or risk rate are going to change. So in this case, we are assuming discount rate of 10%. So first find out the present value PVIF, present value interest factor. For year number 1, it is 1 divided by 1.1. So that is 0.909. For the next year, 1 divided by 1.1 power 2. So that is 0.826. Next year it is 0.751. Next year it is 0.683. And for the last year it is 0.621, right? So now let's compute the present value for project 1. The absolute cash flows are 600, 400 and 300. Find out the present value of cash flows. That is simply multiplication of absolute cash flow with PVIF. So that means 600 into 0.909 gives us present value of cash flow, that is 545 crores. For the next year it is 400 into 0.826 gives us 330 crores. For the last year it is 300 into 0.751 crores gives us 225 crores, right? Now guys, add up the present value of cash flows, that is giving gross present value of 1100 crores, right? Right now let's find out NPV. So 1100 crores GPV minus present value of initial investment 1000 gives us NPV of 100 crores, right? Now let us do for project 2 similar like that. 2000 is the absolute value of cash flow into discount factor of 0.909 gives us the gross present value of 1818, only 1 year. So 1818 minus 1000 gives us net present value of 818. For project 3, there is a peculiar thing that is happening, right? because every year it is going to generate the same amount of cash inflow at 300 crores, right? So that means we don't need to go by the same method, right? So rather we can simplify the process by way of going for present value interest factor annuity. So how do we compute that? Use this formula: 1 minus 1 divided by 1 plus r power n divided by r. Okay, 1 minus 1 divided by 1 plus r power n, whatever you are getting, if you divide that by r, you are going to have PVIF, right? Correct na? R here refers to risk rate or hurdle rate or discount rate. N here refers to period. Okay, so in this case it is going to be 1 minus 1 divided by 1.1 power 5 divided by 0.10 gives us 3.80. Multiply that with the annual amount we are getting, that is 300 crores. So what we are getting here is gross present value of cash flow of 1140 crores. Minus 1000 crores gives us net present value of 140 crores, right? So now look at all these three: 100 crores, 818, 140. Obviously project 2 is giving us the best right NPV, so rank that as 1, followed by that project 3, rank that as 2, followed by that is project 1, rank that as project 3, right? Sorry, rank that as, rank as 3, that is project 1, but you are ranking that as 3. So what are the advantages of NPV? Number 1, it considers time value of cash flow, which was not the case with the previous two methods of payback and ARR. Number 2, it considers entire set of cash flow, and the last one is it discount cash flow at the risk rate or hurdle rate or discount rate of projects. Okay, what are the problems, what are the limitations of NPV, right? There are two limitations. Number 1 is it is giving the output in terms of absolute figure, whereas managers are used to compare, right, activities or performance based on percentage, right, numbers. So that means here it is absolute, so that is one of the serious limitations. The second one is the NPV method is saying that we should accept a project if it is giving positive net present value. Sometimes the company may run out of funds, which is called capital rationing constraint, right? That means capital shortage. Capital is not available in adequate number, right? In those situations, we cannot accept all the projects even though they are giving positive NPV. So in those circumstances, NPV may not be suitable. Yeah. So I take you to the fourth method, which is known as IRR, internal rate of return, right? It computes the hurdle rate at which the NPV is equal to 0. IRR is nothing but the hurdle rate at which your net present value is equal to 0. So there are two ways of finding out that. First one is iteration basis, which is otherwise known as trial and error method, and the second one is you can use financial calculators or Excel. Yeah, caution is this: you have to use cash flows, right, and not the discounted cash flows, right? Many times I find people cash flows. Actually what we have to do is we need to use only cash flows, right? Yeah, please don't use discounted cash flow, right? Because many times what we do is we compute IRR after we do NPV. So what they do is normally people take the discounted cash flow in terms of right inputs in your financial calculator or Excel. If you do that, you will have a wrong output. Yeah, you have to be careful on that, right? Yeah, Ankita, right? So that means IRR for project 1, right, is 16.47. IRR for project 2 is 100.01%. For project 3 it is 15.24%. So you can conclude just based on the absolute number of IRR. So here it is you can say project 2 is the best one, followed by that is project 1, followed by that is project 3. But the problem is we should not conclude that way, because we need to know whether we are getting internal rate of return which is in excess of your discount rate, right? So here we are valuing the firm, so that means it should exceed your WACC. In our case, for all three projects it is 10%. Suppose if you are evaluating projects from the perspective of equity shareholders, then you have to compare IRR based on the equity cash flows, and you have to compare that with your cost of equity. Okay, you have to remember this, right? So if you look at the difference here, 16.47 minus 10, so the excess number is 6.47. For project 2 it is 100.01 minus 10, so the excess number is 90.01, and for the last one it is 15.24 minus 10, that is 5.24, right? So that means rank number 1 is project 2, followed by that rank number 2 goes for project 1, 6.47, and the last one is 5.24, so that is rank 3. I repeat, don't conclude just based on IRR percentages. Compare that with your WACC, right, or your cost of equity if you are talking about cash flow to equity holders, and then conclude based on the difference between your IRR and your hurdle rate, right? Yeah. So the advantage here is right, it's not an absolute figure like NPV, so that means comparison is possible. So it is in percentage and hence easier to compare, right? So hurdle or risk rate, right, is the one which we are talking about, right? So the limitations are basically two. Limitation number 1 is sometimes some projects give multiple IRRs, okay? If that is the case, we will find it difficult, right, to conclude, right? The second condition is IRR requires us to have only one single upfront investment. So that means for every sign change, beyond one sign change, there will be one more IRR. So these are all the problems with IRR, right? So what to do? I am taking you to the last method, that is present value index. It is a ratio of present value of cash inflows to present value of cash outflows. Present value of index formula is this: PV of cash inflows divided by present value of cash outflows, right? Somewhere I told you about capital rationing. So when the company is suffering from capital rationing or capital rationing constraint, what you can do is you can use this method, because if you go by NPV, comparison becomes difficult because its absolute number is not normalized. So in that case you go for present value index, right? So project 1, project 2, project 3, present value of cash inflows 1100 divided by cash outflow present value 1000 gives us PV index of 1.1 for project 1. For project 2 it is 1818 by 1000 gives us PV index of 1.82. For project 3 it is 1140 by 1000 gives us PV index of 1.14. So which is the best one? Obviously project 2. Followed by that is project 3, right? And the final one or the bottom one is your project 1, right? Yeah. So it considers time value of money. It helps you in right, taking care of the capital rationing. Let's go for comparison of ranking by different methods for all three projects. So if you look at here, so what you find here is, you find here project 2 is consistently ranked 1 in all the methods, okay? Whereas if you look at project 1, right, in first two methods it is ranked 2, third method rank 3, fourth method rank 2, last method rank 3. If you look at project 3, 3, 3, 2, 3, 2. So that means there is conflict of ranking for project 1 and 2, project 1 and 3. So that means we won't be able to conclude here, but we can clearly say that project 2 is the best one, right? So what to do when there is conflict of ranking, right, for projects? We are going to look at that in the next video, right, guys? Yeah, that's it. So we have come to the end of this video. So there are 5 questions we have answered in this video. Question number 1 is what is payback period, how it is used in project evaluation. Question number 2 is what is ARR, accounting rate of return, how it is used in project assessment. Question number 3 is what is net present value, how it is used in project evaluation. Question number 4 is what is IRR, how it is used in project evaluation. Last one is what is present value index, how we are using that in project assessment, right? Yeah. See you in the next video, guys. Take care.